I'm required by federal regulations to complete recurrent training as an airline pilot every 12 calendar months. And since I've been flying for Envoy for about a year now, I'm back in DFW completing my own training. Regardless of which airline you'll be flying for one day, recurrent training is something that every airline pilot experiences. So here's a breakdown of what you can expect from your own training. At Envoy, we train under something called AQP, and recurrent training is referred to as CQ, or Continued Qualification Training. It begins with a series of computer-based training modules that we have to complete at home, otherwise known as CBTs, and those have to be finished before your first day of ground school. Then we have 2 days of in-person ground school here at headquarters, followed by 3 days of simulator events. Throughout, we're tested on a series of materials, and I'll break down each of the components one by one. The timing of recurrent training is determined by the flight training department for your airline, and that usually happens every 11 or 12 calendar months. But at a minimum, you must finish recurrent by the end of your 13th month, including a 1-month grace period for the year. Now, once you're assigned a recurrent training month, you'll bid for specific classes in seniority order, and you'll receive your final training slot before the bidding starts for your next flight schedule for the next month. CBTs cover everything from crew security and hazmat to aircraft systems and emergency procedures training. You can finish the courses at home and at your own pace, but at a minimum, they have to be finished before your first day of in-person ground school. Our 2 days of ground school cover emergency procedures, aircraft systems, and operating policies, both with in-classroom instruction, and we also head downstairs to do cabin procedures training and emergency equipment training. Now, we also take a fatigue risk management program, and we go through accident review and investigation to sort of learn from some accidents and incidents that have happened over the years that we can learn from as pilots. Ground school culminates with a knowledge validation written exam at the very end. Day 1 of simulators is an MV, or maneuvers validation, covering abnormal situations, emergency procedures like V1 cuts, and other maneuvers. Day 2 starts with a systems validation oral exam on your aircraft, followed by an LOE flight, which is a flight scenario that serves as your check ride for recurrent training. And Day 3 is a spot sim, which this year is going to be focused on extended envelope training for things like slow flight and stall awareness. That's the basics of how recurrent training works, and beyond simply being a federal regulation, it really makes sense that we as airline pilots have to go through this recurrent training because we're entrusted to maintain a huge safety standard at the airline, and keeping skills fresh like emergency procedures is incredibly important.